All right, welcome anatomy teachers to how to utilize Biozone, which is our core resource for this course. I'm going to be showing you the digital version of this and all the resources that you have at your disposal. Obviously, you also have the books in the classroom. Now, while we didn't get like workbooks so students can write in them, you can still have students open the book, and if you create a simple template document, students can be answering on a sheet of paper, or you could have them looking at it for classroom discussions, whatever. But you have the book, and you could do digital as well. You're not going to have all these other courses listed when you access your course. This is just the view for my trial class. But you should be able to see this. If you don't see this book when you get on, you do have to assign different books to each of your classes. So make sure that you've done that. But once you've assigned it, you'll be able to access the book. I'll go ahead and pull it up, and this will just be a brief overview to show you all the stuff that's at your disposal to help you do better, or not do better, to have more resources to provide for your students. All right, so if I get past all these introductory items, if I jump into, I'll actually do the skeletal system just so we're into one of the actual body systems. Each chapter starts off with an intro, like learning activity. Let me show you this one, because when you start off, the book is broken up into kind of sections. So this section is the skeletal muscular system section. And so it's how does the skeletal and the muscular systems interact together. So when you start one of those beginning parts, you get this additional page that talks about how these two systems work together. This might be something good for students to notice before you start, and then come after to connect how all these things connect. But actually you can see it's got all the systems and how the skeletal and muscular system connects with all of the systems. So it's building this repertoire of how everything connects together. And then we talked about in previous videos those 4 themes. So there's that page as well. I've tried to highlight this in your documents, but you can see where that comes up. Then you actually get to the chapter introduction. Every chapter typically will start with this. So if we go to the muscular system, it'll actually just start, it'll only have this page, not those previous ones, because this is like for this kind of mini unit. So that's why these are here. This is in the book as well, so it's not something that's all that special. But just so that you know, that's sort of your planning for the chapter and for the unit. All right, so that's just the introductory, but then let's open up some of these activities. Every time you open up one of these activities, you get resources. It always starts with what's called the activity. That's the exact same thing that's in the book. I'll show it briefly. What's nice about this is students can do these digitally, or you could just have them view it digitally but answer on paper, however you want to handle that. There were some issues with the iOS devices and using the online. I believe most of those have been fixed, but I know some teachers kind of got weary of using the online version. But students would be able to click and type in their answers, and then you as a teacher, let's say we're doing this activity together, I could show answers for those. So if I had this up on the board, that makes it interactive. They can go through it with me. You also have access to the slides. If we ever do move to doing a multi-year subscription with Biozone instead of a yearly, you'll actually have access to download these slides to make edits. So that's one thing I'm pushing to have us do as a district, is do a multi-year deal, so that way you can download and tweak these slides as you see fit. But these will be useful to go through with your students. This one's actually 26 slides, which is quite lengthy. Let me zoom out. But now you can actually get to the skeletal systems. It's talking about all the different systems here. I think this all connects back to that, how all the systems interact. And then we talked about those 4 themes. So this is why this one's so long, is it's actually slides for those initial 4 themes and those sorts of things. But now we can actually get to, here's the human skeleton. You can talk about all of this stuff, and now you can see how it's all labeled. So now as students are doing notes, they can be adding that into their book as you go through and do as a notes. So now you can kind of see that how those can be useful as your students are going through the different parts of the skeletal system. So slides can be extremely useful. They'll also highlight multiple videos that are useful for teaching. So you can incorporate that into your lesson however you want. Obviously, in our curriculum map, there's other videos, Nearpod videos. These are just additional stuff that you can utilize. I've shown how different web links I've highlighted in our curriculum map. I basically opened these up, copied the link, and ported them over, but you can access them through here. When you click on these, or if a student clicks on it, it's going to open up a new tab, and boom, here you go. So this is great for other resources. Like, that's pretty nice to have, and you can certainly build a lesson off of those extra external links. And then they also have great 3D models. And I think this is the strength of Biozone, is their 3D models. Because not only can students interact with them, but typically most of them have labels on them. So now if they're doing that, if you wanted them to kind of do that book work where they're labeling the parts of the skeleton, students can match the skeleton up. They can say, oh, what was this one? Ah, it's the scapula or shoulder blade. That's what I know it as. So they could actually go through and figure out all the different parts of the human body. Sometimes it's just a label, and sometimes it has a description depending on the 3D model. But they can get to the skull as well. So you can see within each activity the plethora of different resources at yours and the student's disposal for their learning, and you can see how try to make this engaging. How can we incorporate all of these so students are seeing a 3D model, they're seeing a video, you're doing the notes, however you want to do that, and you're going to have a really engaging lessons just by the sheer amount of resources at your disposal. So I just wanted to highlight how much stuff you have access to through this and our curriculum. So hopefully you feel like you have plenty at your fingertips for creating your lessons. That's all that I have for this, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.